Kapitalisasyon!
Tutulan! Labanan! Huwag payagan!
Kapitalisasyon!
Tutulan! Labanan! Huwag payagan!
Ang kontraktualisasyon po ay parang tanikala na gumagapi at gumagapos sa mga manggagawa.
Maraming mga nurses ang contractual or JO.
Let us free the workers. Let us fight for decent work, for social protection and justice for all.
The workers united will never be defeated!
Chobway!
Pray!
Chobway!
Pray!
We all have the same rights because all our rights must be protected. Our work, it's where we get our living. Without work, there's no way one can survive.
The struggle continue as long as we organize, as long as we recruit more people, the union will become strong.
Migration is not a sustainable way of addressing unemployment.
This recruitment fees becomes a venue for abuses. They become unjust because they are against the rights for a decent job. And of course, they are against international standards.
There are millions of workers deployed in no less than 200 countries all over the world. And we cannot take for granted what these migrant workers can contribute to each respective countries of origin. So we really have to make sure that these migrant workers are protected here in our country of origin and at the same time in the country of destination.
We have a no placement fee policy, but that is actually being abused creatively by most of the manning agencies that we have. Many of our migrant workers, the vast majority of them, would prefer to stay at home if they had an opportunity to stay at home and earn money for their families. But because of the economic situation that we have here, they're being pushed to go abroad and leave their families behind. That's not an easy thing to do. Precisely because of that, they are vulnerable to abusive practices of the manning agencies, and that's why it's in this situation the manning agencies are the ones to blame.
From the time you apply, you are already spending a lot, like getting your passport done, your NBI clearance, then your pre-employment medical test, and other expenses that you need to travel, especially those people who are coming from the countryside. And when they reach Manila, it's their problem also where to stay, especially if they don't have any relatives over here. Now, that is not the only problem. Even the medical exam, even up to now, most of the medical clinics that are accredited, particularly with those going to the GCC or the Gulf Cooperation Council states, the GCC states, it's concentrated largely in Manila. This is just some of those. While waiting for their application, sometimes they have to pay off some employees in the recruitment agent's office just to be prioritized, just so that they can have somebody who is can be asked as far as whether there is already a visa, whether the employers has accepted, and things like that. So they have to bribe.
This has been happening. I mean, this is not an only isolated case. This has been happening for so long, and then, well, it's unfortunate that our government agencies kind of it's falling on deaf ears, and they could do something, but they're not.
It should be the foreign employer who should pay me for the services and not the applicant. The applicant does not pay. In my case, I started in the Overseas Employment Program in 1978. That is about 38 years ago. And when I started in that business, I said, I have to make a difference. I want to contribute something. And what is that difference? 100% of all the recruiters are collecting money from the applicant. And what did I do? I said, no, I will not collect a single centavo. I have to make that difference.
Challenge in fair recruitment is the continuing existence and operations of foreign-owned recruitment agencies. These are the agencies that have Filipinos for as dummies, but are actually controlled and financed by foreigners. It's very difficult to detect and find out who they are, because they do have in their SEC registrations, they have Filipinos as members of the board. And there have also been complaints, not only from our recruitment industry stakeholders, but even from among some of the labor attachés, that some of the OFWs, especially the domestic workers that we have been deploying, were not emotionally and mentally prepared for the work.
What I think should governments do, no, on to better protect migrant workers, and I think the governments should take bolder measures against illegal and unethical recruiters, no, and should prioritize establishing regulations, no, and they should ensure that these regulations are effectively enforced.
The government should formulate policies that would address this problem. Then they have to strictly impose the policy that would be formulated. And I understand that with the help or the partnership with the unions, the federations, and the other agencies responsible, they will be able to come up with that policy and impose penalties. The participation of the PSI, we hope that it will be realized soonest.
One thing lacking in all of our advocacies and campaigns is the data of returning migrant workers, and also the data of the migrant workers where they are. We do not have a data how are they doing, and we do not have a data if they have returned and what happened to them. And maybe the government can put up some mechanism to actually trace and have a good data in order to maximize the protection of these Filipino migrant workers.
The Duterte administration is therefore very supportive of any and all efforts to protect the OFWs and enjoin the following executive offices and legislature. Number 1, for the DOLE, Philippine Overseas Employment Administration, to consult with the social partners to revoke as soon as possible the specific provisions of POEA rules and regulations allowing the payment of 1-month placement fees from applicant migrant workers. Considering that placement fees for domestic helper applicants is already prohibited, the same prohibition must be uniformly applied to all applicant workers. By doing so, this will help weed out scrupulous, fly-by-night, and profit-driven recruitment agencies. Number 2, for the Department of Labor and Employment, the Department of Foreign Affairs, and the National Tripartite Industrial Peace Council to work and facilitate expeditiously the ratification process of ILO Convention 181. This convention will not only protect migrant workers, but also promote fair and ethical recruitment practices. Number 3, for the Department of Labor and Employment and the 12 anti-poverty agencies under the Office of the Cabinet Secretary to work for the development of an integrated and holistic program for OFWs, returning OFWs, and their families.
For trade unions, I think it is high time that we stand up for migrant workers' rights, that we organize migrant workers, and that we really come together and campaign to promote fair and ethical recruitment and abolish recruitment fees.
Personally, I'm always advocating that, if you're a union member here in the Philippines, for example, PSI has affiliates in 154 countries, and we have 669 unions around the world. And chances are, in any of the destination countries that our Filipino migrant workers will be going to, chances are there is a PSI there. There's a PSI affiliate who can extend and continue the protection that they have when from their from their home country.
For all the migrant workers, I hope you join the PSI campaign to abolish recruitment fees and promote fair and ethical recruitment.
The time is now to really call upon the government to act against these recruitment fees. I think the unions should continue to fight and struggle in order to put forward a fight that will really put the unions in a winning position. We should continue to fight and to work with other unions in other countries. Receiving and the sending countries should work together. So PSI would continue to partner with different unions in order to sustain this campaign.
We are appealing to everyone, our trade union sisters and brothers, to join us in this campaign for zero recruitment fees for migrant workers. We, as PSI, champions the rights of migrant workers by calling for the abolition of recruitment fees.